I used to think that me being that understanding was going to motivate someone to want to treat me good, was going to motivate someone to want to love me, was going to motivate someone to not want to hurt me, was going to motivate someone to want to stay around in my life, was going to motivate someone to see what a nice, kind person I am. I thought that me being that understanding was going to have that effect on people, but it doesn't. Sometimes, in being so understanding, it causes us to not be the best judgment of character. And it's because that we think that it's not fair to judge someone, because we're thinking like we won't want them to judge us. And so we're thinking, okay, it's not fair that I judge them because I don't want no one to judge me. I get that. But I've learned that in order to have healthy spaces and connections, it's that you have to be a judgment of character. You have to do some type of judging to determine who is fit to be in your life, who you're in alignment with, who is going to be good for you, who is going to have a good connection with you. You have to be you have to do some sort of judging. You just are going to have to. You can't be so understanding that you tolerate not being treated the way that you deserve. You can't be so understanding that you tolerate disrespect. You can't be so understanding that you just allow any and everyone into your life. You can't be so understanding that you just settle for not only mistreatment, but someone just constantly disrespecting you. You can't be that understanding, girlfriends.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Hey, girlfriends. Welcome back to the Hey Girlfriend podcast. I'm your host, author, mindset, and intuitive coach, Kindall D. Back with another episode. And today, I'm going to be talking about how being so understanding can be your downfall. Being so understanding can subject you to a lot of shit you don't deserve, especially when it comes to being in relationships and whatnot. So I want to talk about it because I feel like that mostly women are pushed this narrative to be a good woman, that you have to be understanding of some shit. And you don't. Well, I put it this way. You can understand it, but just because you understand it doesn't mean you have to tolerate it. And that's something that I had to learn and implement in my life, is that being an intuitive and being a Pisces, some would say, being just able to be empathetic. I feel like my empathy is a part of my worth, and a part of who I am is that I'm able to really empathize, and I'm always going to empathize and understand. But I had to stop being so understanding to the point that I tolerate being mistreated. Because if you think about it, when you are being that understanding to why someone is mistreating you, not only are you subjecting yourself to a lot of bad treatment, you're basically creating the excuse for them to continue to treat you the same way because you understand it so much. And so since you understand it so much, what reason do they have to not do better? Because, of course, they do better on their own. But if someone is there understanding and accepting of it, what's the reason? So the thing is, you have to learn to understand the shit and then leave it where it's at, because it's not good for you. And so in being understanding, I feel like also what happens is that sometimes in being so understanding, it causes us to not be the best judgment of character. And it's because that we think that it's not fair to judge someone, because we're thinking like we won't want them to judge us. And so we're thinking, okay, it's not fair that I judge them because I don't want no one to judge me. I get that. But something else that I've learned, that in order to have healthy spaces and connections, is that you have to be a judgment of character. You have to do some type of judging to determine who is fit to be in your life, who you're in alignment with, who is going to be good for you, who is going to have a good connection with you. You have to be some sort of you have to do some sort of judging. You just are going to have to. You have to be a judgment of character. And it's not being in a mean or rude way. It's just that not everyone is going to be for you. And you're not going to be for everyone either. And so I've learned that it is okay to judge just a little bit. Because you are judging them based off, okay, are they in alignment with me? Can they fit in my life? You can't be so understanding that you tolerate not being treated the way that you deserve. You can't be so understanding that you tolerate disrespect. You can't be so understanding that you just allow any and everyone into your life. You can't be so understanding that you just settle for not only mistreatment, but someone just constantly disrespecting you. You can't be that understanding, girlfriends. So when you're dating, or even if you're just not dating, and if you're just basically, you know, looking for friendships or looking for just people in your life, you're trying to find your tribe, anything that deals with that. I want you to start being a better judgment of character and turning off the understanding. Because you can understand someone so much, but they still are not going to treat you right. I used to think that me being that understanding was going to motivate someone to want to treat me good, was going to motivate someone to want to love me, was going to motivate someone to not want to hurt me, was going to motivate someone to want to stay around in my life, was going to motivate someone to see what a nice, kind person I am. I thought that me being that understanding was going to have that effect on people, but it doesn't. Being so understanding just causes people to never hold themselves accountable, meaning they're not going to hold themselves accountable for what they do to you either. They're going to expect you to continue to understand it. And you're doing nothing but basically enabling them. And being understanding is not the grand gesture that you think it is. Now, I will say that there are some things that you can understand and move forward with, but there are some things you can't, so you have to use discernment here. I will say that it's okay to be understanding as long as that person is not deeply hurting you, deeply disrespecting you, or mistreating you. You can be understanding to the degree of that they understand themselves as well. Or that you understand that people make mistakes and that they change their mistakes with change behavior. You can understand to that degree. I'm not saying to be just totally not understanding of anything and just to be a rude, mean person. I'm still a nice, kind person. I'm still an understanding person. I'm still very empathetic. I'm still all those things. But I'm not going to be those things to the extent that I'm mistreated. Or that or that you run over me, or that you treat me like a doormat, or that your behavior disrupts my life. I'm not going to be that understanding anymore. Not that understanding. And what I find is that in being understanding, it can also help you to make peace with people that you've had to let go. It can help you make peace with people that are no longer in your life. And what I mean by that is that sometimes you are going to have to lose people that you maybe once cared about. And maybe that you have extended grace and understanding to before. But then it got to a point to where it was debilitating to you in your life. So now you can no longer be that understanding. But once you are removed from that, once they are removed from your life and you're trying to process and move forward, you can go back to the understanding that you have that person and understand that they treated you the way that they only knew how. That's in their nature. Sometimes it's only in someone's nature to treat you that way because that's just who they are. And so you can take that same level of understanding to help you make peace with that. To help you make peace with the fact that they're not going to be able to be around you anymore. For example, I made peace with my ex like that. My ex, not John, that I wrote about in Toxic Ex Chronicles, John, but Sebastian. And well, I even made peace with John the same way, but I'm talking about Sebastian right now. So I made peace with him not being in my life, and with me having to remove him from my life, and with us having to go our separate ways. I even made peace with the reasons why he hurt me, all of that, because I understood him and the way he lived his life and the shit that he's been through. I used that same understanding to make peace with the fact that he was not going to treat me any better. No matter how good I was, no matter how I showed up, he just was not going to treat me any better because I understood who he was. And so, you see where I'm going with this? Understanding can work with you in a multitude of ways. I'm not saying to stop being understanding. I'm saying to use discernment when you have that understanding. And to understand that understanding someone doesn't mean that you have to tolerate bullshit. That you have to tolerate mistreatment. You don't. You can understand it and understand it so much that you know that I got to remove my damn self because I understand who you are. I know who you are. And I got to remove myself. I understand you that well. And you can make peace with why you have to do it because you understand that about that person. And so something that I've realized also with being too understanding is that it subjects you to abuse. It subjects you to constant abuse because you understand why you're being abused. You understand that they had a rough childhood. You understand that maybe that they saw their mother abused. You understand that they don't know any better. It subjects you to abuse. And you never want to be that understanding. You know, you think that being that understanding is what they just needed in order to do better and to be better. That they just needed someone to see them and to understand them. But the thing is, a person like that doesn't really want you to see them. They don't want you to understand them that deeply. They don't want to do the work to heal through that. For whatever reason. And so, in being that understanding, it's not as noble as you think it is. It's not going to get you the results that you think it's going to get you. It's not going to be the determining factor that makes them change because, oh, she understands me so well. This is what I've been looking for. That's not how that works. So once you wrap your mind around what understanding really is and what it gets you, you won't be so understanding. Or you won't be so quick to tolerate someone's behavior just because you understand it. And another thing about being understanding is that loving someone for who they are is also not the noble thing that you think it is as well. Loving someone for who they are and understanding them for who they are doesn't mean that you have to subject yourself to mistreatment. Because loving someone for who they are entails basically you being able to accept them for who they are as well. And when I say accept them for who they are, that means that there is no need for you to understand so deeply that you're trying to change them. There's no you trying to make them be someone they're not or trying to make them grow into you who you believe they have the potential to be. There's none of that. That is ego love. You don't really love them for who they are. You love them for who you believe they can become. And so while you're telling yourself, I love them for who they are, I love them for who they are, you really don't. So when you have that degree of understanding, you know, I understand who they are and why they are the way they are and all of that, you're essentially loving them for the potential they have or the potential that you've created. And so in doing all of that and being that understanding and trying to basically love someone into loving you with your understanding of them, all in all, once again, it just leaves you with the short end of the stick. It leaves you doing all the work that they're not even wanting to do. They're not even showing up to do. They're not even reciprocating. They can't reciprocate. So the next time you find yourself being so understanding, I want you to stop and take a moment and determine what you're going to do with the information that you now understand. Like, you can't even be so understanding of, especially in the beginning when you're dating someone and they're giving you all of these excuses and things of why they can't show up for you, or they're so busy and this and that, and you're just trying to be understanding. That's not a time for you to be understanding to the point that you stick around for it. That's for you to understand what they're saying and how that's going to work and flow with your life. So the next time you find yourself understanding, or you find someone trying to get you to understand them, understand it, or try to, if you will. And then I want you to also assess, with this new level of understanding I have about this person, does this fit according to what I want? Does this align with me? Does this align with what I'm looking for? Can they show up and treat me the way that I need them to? It's not time for you to take their sob story, or to take their emotional turmoil, or all the things that they've been through. It's not time for you to take all that in and then try to see how you can fix it, or see how much you can understand it so that you can make space for it in your life, and try to fix it that way as well, or love them into loving you, or understand them so much that they love you. It's not time for you to do that. It's time for you to assess, can they be who I'm looking for? Can they be in alignment with me? Can they show up for me how I need them to? Can they love me the way I need them to? Can they treat me the way that I deserve? That's your time to be understanding about that, to see how they are going to fit in your life. So stop being so understanding. As simple as that. Stop being so goddamn understanding, girlfriends. You understanding so much that you're ended up in these bad, toxic ass relationships. You're accepting bare minimum or less than what you deserve because you're trying to be so understanding. And you want to know why you're probably that understanding as well? I touched on it a bit earlier, because you want someone to be understanding towards you, but more than likely you feel sorry about yourself. You don't have the highest self-esteem for yourself, just being honest. And so you are finding men that you feel sorry for as well. You're finding people that you feel sorry for, or you're finding people that you feel you have something in common with. You feel like, oh, they just need to be loved, and so do I. I just want love real bad, and so do they. They just need my love. And so you're trying to give them what you feel like that you're missing. You feel sorry for them because you feel sorry for yourself. And so that's where the understanding component comes in. That's where it came in for me at. And I didn't realize it at first when I was in it. I didn't realize that that's how I felt about myself. But looking back and thinking about who the woman I am now and who I was then, I know that's what it was. Because I don't feel sorry for myself anymore. And I stopped dating men that I felt sorry for. And so you have to get to a point to where you heal how you feel about yourself, so you won't be so understanding. Because now that you've increased how you feel about yourself and your self-esteem is up here, you're not going to be so understanding to what's down here. If you are up here, meaning that you've elevated and you feel great about yourself and you've raised your vibrational frequency, if you will, you're not going to be so understanding of people with the low vibrational frequency. You're not going to be so tolerable of that and so understanding of that, because you have now lifted yourself up. And you now want someone that has lifted themselves up as well. You want someone to match you. And so we typically date people that are on our level vibrationally. That's what we go for. Whether we're doing it subconsciously or consciously, that's who we go for, someone that's on our level. And so once you raise how you feel about yourself, you're not going to be so understanding of shit. You're just not. You're going to be like, yeah, I get it and I see it, but you need to go heal that. Because I got to a point to where I'm like, I've done my work. I've done my healing. So I need you to have done that shit too. I know that it can be done. I no longer feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to date someone that I feel sorry for. I'm not going to date a project. I'm not going to date someone that I have to, raise almost. I want a partner, not a child that's not biologically mine. And once you start leveling yourself up, I guarantee it, you won't be so understanding. You have to get out your mind that that's how you prove your worth to someone. You have to get out your mind that that's what's going to make someone want you and love you. It's because you understand them so deeply. You can understand some things, but you can't understand the things that's going to hurt you, that's going to ultimately bring you down. And so once you lift yourself up, I promise you, you won't be that understanding any damn more. I promise you. Because think about what understanding has got you so far. Nothing. I look back over my life and all the shit that I understood that I shouldn't have understood just so I can keep someone around. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just because you're that understanding doesn't mean you have to lower your standards to accommodate them. Stop doing that. Stop doing that shit. But, yeah. That's all I wanted to get on here to say. I just want y'all to know that it's okay to not be that damn understanding. I just want you to know that it's okay to understand someone and then understand that why they can't fit into your life, why you need to leave them where they're at. I want you to know that it is okay to be that person, to say, no, I'm not going to accept that. And I think sometimes it hurts us because we're so understanding and we wish that it could be different, but it can't. Being that understanding is not going to yield the results that you're looking for. It just isn't. It just isn't. So stop it. Stop being that understanding to where you're lowering your standards, to where you are lowering yourself to be disrespected. Stop it. Just stop it. It's not gonna do anything for you at all. At all. But that's all I really had for this podcast episode. I just wanted to jump on here and tell you that it's okay to not be that understanding. That it's okay to declare what you want and don't want. And it's okay to understand and leave that shit right where it's at, because you understand it. You're like, oh, I'm leaving that right where it's at. I get you, and I know why I can't fool with you. It's okay. And it's okay that someone else may come along and understand how you are and determine that you're not in alignment with them too. It doesn't say anything about you. It just means that you're not in alignment. And once you wrap your head around that you're not everyone's cup of tea, then you'll understand why everyone can't be your cup of tea. I think sometimes that we get so down and out feeling like, I don't want to be rejected or abandoned, or I don't like that, I don't fit in their life, or that I'm being rejected by them. We feel so bad and down and out about those things. So we try to not make other people feel that way. So we don't reject people. We try to understand them instead of rejecting them when we need to. You can't be that understanding. And you have to understand that if anyone rejects you, it's for your own good as well. You don't want anyone that's not in alignment. It's simple as that. It's not personal. It's just, it doesn't fit. And that's how you got to look at it. But that's all I got for this podcast episode. Once again, if you want to read my books, look into my coaching, my other social media pages, all of that, it's on I'veBeenThatGirl.net. Link is in the comments. The link is below in the description as always. But that's all I got for this podcast episode, girlfriends. Until the next one, peace out.